Okay, so this is the V2 update of Toad's Qualifications. If you want to see the original functionality of the script, then check out the V1 introduction. Okay, I'm not going to go over everything again. Okay, so yeah, let's go over it. So nothing's changed, it's still exclamation mark or / then add qual, the command in your config, whatever you set it to, the name of the identifier, so I shall do scout, then Toad. Now straight off the bat you will notice I am on test job 2 and I will not get any of the buffs, right, and I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so still normal job, but I do have the qualification, so the qualification remains until I switch to the correct job. So if we hop into the config here, the config, so I set myself to scout, a new addition is this. Should this qualification be restricted to specific jobs? So this was a suggestion by another developer called Dino. The example he used was something like an advanced medic qualification if you're on a medic job kind of thing. So that's what this is for. So if you set this to true, then you will not receive any of these buffs until you switch to the correct job, which will be listed in here. Now this is your Dark RP job name, not the team. So when you go into the F4 menu, it is the job name, not the team. Okay. So in the config, I have set scout to test job 1. So I'll go ahead and switch to test job 1. Now you will see another addition in a second, but I've got 3 jobs set up and I will show you why. So test job 1, switch to that. Hooray, I have the weapons, I have the HP, the armor, the run speed and the jump boost. Okay, now before we go into the other changes, there's just one quick one in the bottom right hand corner here. 60. Okay, so there is a salary boost now per qualification. Now test job 1 has a default one of 50 and you can see the other addition here. So the default salary is 50 and I am receiving 60 that you can see in the bottom right hand corner here. If it appears, there we go, so I'm receiving 60. Okay, it varies per qualification. You can have it the same if you want. Do you want a salary boost? So true basically adds to their salary, so the salary that you define in the job code, it will get that, then add to it. It will not replace the default salary. Okay, if you do not want a salary boost, then you just set this to false and it will use the default salary on its own. Okay, so this can vary, so it's 20 for this, it's 30 for this one, and 40 for this one. Okay, this is a very messy config, but who cares? So yeah, so nothing's changed per all this. Nothing's changed. Another addition is models. Okay, so by default, my job has the brain model, so I'll go ahead and remove the qualification, and that's my really weird chat box there. So by default, my job has brain. Okay, so if I go into the F4 menu, they all have brain. Okay, this is just a visual glitch on my F4 menu. So brain, brain, and brain. Okay, so if I go ahead and set myself to scout, I am now scout, I respawn, I get my buffs. Test job 1 now has 2 extra models. Okay, now if we have a look at the config here, I popped in Alex and Barney, which is exactly what I have. We have Alex, we have Barney, and we have the original model. So this basically adds models to their model table. Okay, it does not replace the model that you have on that job. Okay, it just gives you the models in the config as extra models, and no, please do not ask for me to replace their models. No, not being done. No thanks. I like it this way, therefore I'm doing it. Okay, so yeah. Now I'll go ahead and switch to test job 2. Okay, so my buffs disappear. I only have the green model. Okay, so I don't have the other 2 models. However, the models do stay on this job for that player. Okay, now if the player switches the job, the way Dark RP is working is to save me playing around with the code. If the player changes to a different job that is not listed in this table here, so you can do more values like so, then we'll do test job 2. It's true. You can, so if not, I am not on test job 1 or test job 2, then you will not be able to take the qualification away. Okay, you need to, the player needs to be on the job that you've defined in the config. Okay, so I am on test job 2 and try and remove the qualification, and it clearly states here, please tell the player to change the job to one of the jobs listed in the config, therefore referring to the job list. Okay, so they need to switch to one of those jobs. Okay, so if I switch to test job 1, which has the models, I can now remove the qualification. Okay, and if I go into the F4 menu, I no longer have those models. Okay, and all I need to do is respawn for all the changes to disappear. Okay, so that's another addition. Okay, and the last addition to this is, there's a few extra little changes that we'll go over in a second, but the last is damage reduction. Okay, now damage reduction basically reduces the amount of damage you take. Okay, and I'll go over how we're doing the calculation here. We're doing the calculation, let's see, to take damage, there we are. Right, so the calculation that we're doing is scaling the damage. So number 1 is equal to the total amount of damage that you're taking when you take that damage. Okay, so we want to get 100% of the damage, and we want to minus the 100% of the damage multiplied by a percentage of that damage. Okay, so if we take 1000 damage and we multiply the 1000 damage by the value in the config, which for Scout is 0.2, so 0.2 is 2%. Okay, and I've left comments here telling you how the calculation's done. So 0.2, so 0.2 is 2% of 1000. Okay, we're using 1000 as an example. So 2% of 1000 is 200. So instead of taking 1000 damage, it will take 200 away from the 1000 damage, which is 2%, and we will only take 800 damage. Okay, so it gets the percentage of the total damage and takes that value away from the total damage. Okay, so yeah, that's the easiest way we can explain it. Well, I can explain it. It gets the 1000 damage if we're still using 1000, then it will minus 1000 multiplied by 0.2, which is 2% of 1000. So all it's doing is 1000 minus 200. That's what it does. Okay, I've left a fair warning here that says if you set this to 1 point value, then they will take more damage. So if I set this to 1.2, if I take 1000 damage, I will take 1200 damage. Okay, so if you do it at 1 point value, it increases the damage that they're taking. Okay, so if you want damage reduction, this has to be a 0 point value. Okay, so yeah, that's the easiest way I can explain it. Okay.